Debbie Hedberg, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here with us on Something Super Spiritual. I'm really honored to have you with us today.
Super honored to be here with you and be a part of what I call the global healing movement.
Absolutely.
And more and more, the more and more we can connect with each other and just connect in with the collective and bring healing is just a bonus, and let's do it.
It's everything. It's everything. You know,
Yeah.
I was told about maybe 6 or 7 years ago that I am part of an awakening group of people on the planet that are stepping into this mediumship later in life, that whose purpose is to start to help wake people up, help people understand that life is, there's a continuity to life. It continues on. It's healing. Let's spread the word and let's build some awareness. So when you said, you know, this community, I love this community. I love it.
Yeah. And I call it the family.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what it feels like. And I had felt that, but I really felt it when I came onto Kevin's show.
Right.
I was really afraid of YouTube. You know, I started my show last summer after quite a bit of resistance, I must say, you know. Heavens, poke.
It is a thing. It is a deal.
Yeah.
You have to break through a lot of things to put yourself out here.
Completely. So I followed the nudges of spirit, and I got on YouTube in December, I think it was. And then Kevin had me on a show in February, and I was scared before that show with him. I really was. I mean, I was not just nervous. Let's put it that way. But within minutes, I think within, I don't even know, it happened so fast, but the embrace, the welcoming, the love, the compassion that I felt from all those hundreds of people watching just oozed all over me. And I was like, wow. And so that family feeling that you're talking about, I felt it.
Yeah. It's a real deal. And you know, as the world changes, this is kind of where we connect in these days.
Absolutely.
And it's through this type of avenue, and to find a space on YouTube to where that family is. And so welcome to the family, Jeffrey.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We're lucky to have you.
So
missing part that we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I met you just briefly on Kevin's little show last week. You had just put a little comment, and he put it up on the screen. And he said to me, remember, he said, "Oh, Jeffrey, you got to hook up with Debbie."
That's right. That's right.
So I did. Yeah. So here we are.
Yay.
Okay. So Debbie, I love what you do as well. I haven't seen many of your shows yet, but I did catch you on Sunday. And I saw the notification a little late. I think I got maybe the last 5 minutes. I cast it to my TV. And it was you and Kevin and somebody that I hadn't met yet.
Was it on the Sunday on the Couch one?
Yes. Or? Yeah, that one.
Okay. Lisa.
Yes, Lisa. And I just caught the very end of it, like I said. And you were wrapping it up with a prayer, and it was so beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it was
the
so
connecting
beautiful.
Prayer where we all go in and we connect. That is like I love that time when we go in, because literally, I don't know if you joined in, but you can literally see each other.
Yeah,
I see everyone, and we're all in a circle, and we're literally connecting in, and we're supporting each other. And so no one's alone in carrying any type of burden. We are helping each other with each other's burdens at that moment, and literally being able to step in and give it over to source in whatever way that works for you. But yeah, one of my favorite things to do on Sundays.
Yeah, as we should. You know, we are so much better together.
We are, and I'm
together we rise. Yes, look at that.
knew I wore this one for.
Oh, yes, that's
If
perfect.
you catch any of my shows, I have a different shirt on every time with some kind
Oh,
of something.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, Debbie, tell us about Debbie. What is Debbie's story? When did you step into spirit and the work and the spiritual senses? Has it been with you your entire life, or how did
So
that?
I'm one of those people that it has been, but I had to find my way with it because, of the world that I was born into. I didn't have language for what was happening. I was one of those kids that was terrified in my room because it was always busy with spirit. And it was a constant one of those things. But I don't think I had a nightlight. I I don't ever remember not being woken up in terror because of not understanding the energy that
Sure,
was in my room and or who was in my room and because in a child's mind, unless they come in as this just beautiful white angel, and even so, it's like this is not what's going on. It's still terrifying. So I was one of those, and I was very sensitive to as an empath, sensitive to emotions and feelings, and so I was very anxious and scared most of the time.
sure.
And then to boot, I lived in a very, very traumatic, I had a very traumatic childhood. So I had that childhood trauma to deal with as well. That being said, as time went on, it's almost like I can look back and go, okay, that was kind of a plus for me because I lived in the in-between. I had to disassociate to survive. And so I lived in the in-between with my guides and spiritual team is what I call them.
Yeah,
And so I had a great understanding of that reality. Again, not having words for it, I didn't have the language for it, but I was very aware of it all the time because that's how I survived.
right.
And so then as time went on from that, I was a constant seeker of spiritual things and communication with spirit one way or another. I dove into the Christian thing because that's what was there. And, hands-on healing, anything to do with healing and all that, I was into bringing words of knowledge, the whole, I forget what they call that movement now, but where, words of prophecy, we would, anything to do with that, I was diving into that. But there was always boxes around things. And I never fit in any of these boxes, so to speak. And as time went on, as a seeker, you're constantly growing and seeking and so forth. And I'm here now.
Yeah.
And really what threw me this direction is my 18-year-old son passed away with a brain tumor. And
Oh,
that threw me into really releasing any boxes that I had left in regards to communicating with spirit and my spirit team and loved ones, anybody's loved ones from the other side, and threw me in this direction. My traditional work was in psychology. I was a professor. I worked in all areas of psychology that you can imagine. But my last 10, 15 years, I worked in an emergency room and a hospital. And so I really was able to do a lot of work in the in-between for people
yeah.
in transition or traumas or any of those types of things. So, but now I get to do this full time.
Beautiful.
Psychic medium. Call it that.
Yep, yep, yep. So growing up then, what was your family life like? Was it safe to talk about the spirit
So
world or what you experienced?
they kind of just ignored it, I guess. It wasn't like, oh, don't say that, that's of the devil, but they just didn't know what to do with it.
Sure.
And so it was kind of like, oh, there she goes again. Or, is she autistic or is she, what's going on with, they just knew I was different.
Mhm.
I was in the different category. And so, that worked for me. But yeah, so I would know, the phone's going to ring and it's, it's grandpa and he's going to want to know about blah, blah, blah. And I would be 5 years old. And sure enough, the phone would ring. It would be my grandfather and he'd be wanting to know blah, blah, blah. And so, my mom would just go, oh, okay. Just never really addressing it. It was more like ignoring it.
Just glossed over it.
Glossing over it. Yeah, things like that. And or seeing spirits or anything like that. They're like, okay, well, you do you.
When you would see them, did you see them objectively or with your inner eye?
Inner eye. I think that I had some experiences when I was really little, seeing them objectively, and it was so terrifying. It was stopped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they backed off.
They backed off of that. But I always knew when it was almost like, I wish I would see them objectively, because I then learned, like, I know you're here, you know what I mean? But I can't see you objectively, but it did train my inner eye to see. So there's that. But it was almost more scary, because then I'm like, I don't know what you look like. You know what I mean? Like that.
Right.
But then it grew into developing that stronger inner eye type thing. Mm-hmm.
How long has it been for you since you've been doing this full time?
Okay, so I was pushed out of my traditional work by my spirit team.
I understand that.
And so that would have been in 2016, and I stepped directly into doing this full time.
Excellent.
Yeah. Open that door.
I saw too that you are a Reiki Master Teacher.
Yes.
And I love that. I can relate so much with that, because that's how I woke up, basically. In 2006, I went to become attuned to the Reiki for my mother. She suffered with fibromyalgia and osteoarthritis and all that. And nothing was helping her, right? Nothing was helping. So when I say accidentally, when I accidentally had it happen during a massage, the lady said, I think I'm supposed to do Reiki on you. And I was like, well, what's that? And I said, well, okay, go ahead. And then I felt it. And when she told me that any of us can do it and that it's a healing process, and I thought, well, what do we have to lose? So I found a Reiki master, and the side effect for me was that it ignited all the spiritual senses. Pow.
Bam.
Yeah.
Bam. And that's how it happened.
Yeah. Oh, it does. It does. And I've talked to more and more people that have had that same experience. It's interesting.
Isn't that a beautiful avenue, though, to be able to, it's such a, as someone comes to you for that healing, it's such a vulnerable space, and they're inviting you in that space to bring healing. And then these beautiful messages come in. You're literally doing that in between for them. And Reiki is such a beautiful avenue to bring those two together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Reiki. So people are like, I don't do Reiki, but I do feel like because back in the day, healing hands and then messages coming through, it wasn't through Reiki, but it's just energy moving, guys. And so it doesn't have to be that platform, but it certainly is a beautiful platform. And you do have these structures that you can utilize. But if I would give anybody something right now in this, that is just a starting point. Make it your own, between you and your spirit team, and how you move that energy. Make it your own. That's just Reiki is just a starting point for you to really jump into that energy moving.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I appreciate too that you said, that's just one avenue. You spoke of healing hands. That was happening along the same time Reiki was, Reiki was one road, and healing hands was another road. And it's all tapping into that divine energy, period.
Exactly. Period. And so find your avenue and do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew this one gal who was a massage therapist, And she was amazing. She was incredible. You know, when we are doing Reiki treatments with people and our hands heat up, usually, she wasn't attuned to Reiki. She didn't have any particular hands-on healing training or attunements, you know, or anything like that. She was just naturally dialed in. She was plugged in, you know.
Massaging, yeah.
And she was a fire hose of energy. And that really made me realize, and this was early in my coming to understand Reiki and energy, that it's all the same thing. That's it. It's all the same thing. And she understood it. She understood where it was coming from. She understood that it wasn't her, and she just allowed it to be what it was supposed to be. It's beautiful.
Or is it her?
Well,
isn't that a big question?
I mean,
isn't that a big
that's
question?
a very big question. Yeah. She always said it wasn't her. So I actually,
I know.
I hadn't thought of
that.
that.
I'm just teasing.
Oh,
So
but yeah, it's something to think about.
Yeah, when we connect into our soul self, our spirit self, is that who is bringing in that that connection to
I kind of love that thought.
Yeah.
Because it is us.
Right.
On some level.
On some level, right?
Oh, that's awesome. So when you became attuned to Reiki and you started to do work with people, as you had said, you know, let it become yours. Did you, how do I want to ask this? Did you do more than just give the Reiki? Did you do readings at the same time? Did you like do chakra work and mediumship and whatever came through?
Whatever came through. It was very eclectic. You come in, it's going to be, this is not going to be the same as it was for the person who came before you, because it's for you, right? So it would be different every single time. I can say too that I do get a language. I get a spirit language that comes in. As soon as I step in, it's like we're all, you know, we're my spirit team, and we're stepping into this healing, and this language starts to come through as well. And that literally guides the time, or where the direction for of course, the person coming, the client, or however you want to say that, coming for the healing or the session, they have their intentions as well, and they can place those intentions. But I always encourage them to be open to what spirit wants to do, and release any boxes we try to put around it here, right?
Yes.
With our intentions. It's okay to put those intentions up there, but be open and don't put it in a box, because they have big stuff for you.
Well, and you know, I say that all the time too. There's an intelligence to spirit that we can't even wrap our mortal brains around.
No, and that's why I love the language, because we don't have the words. We don't have it in our English language. And so this language that comes through is beyond our world. And so but the same as like what you're saying, it's beyond us, what spirit is doing. So let's not put it in a box.
Yes. Yeah, you know, I've had people come for our treatment with, like you said, their intentions. Let's say their back hurt. They hurt their back, whatever. And that was their only intention. And that was their main intention. And I'd be like, okay, you know, that's great and all. Let's work on your back, but also be open. Don't let that intention be your wall, because there's a lot more that's going to have to happen.
Exactly.
And the thing is, the message from that back pain might just be the initial that something else has to be addressed.
100%. Yeah. So for those who are listening, let's unbox some of those intentions. How would we reword so take a look at how we would reword some of our own intentions just for the day, just for whatever. I love it. Releasing boxes, releasing walls. It's a constant struggle.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that the truth? I mean, years and years ago, way back in the day. So I became attuned to the Reiki in 2006. And right after that, as a seeker, you're kind of led down your path, and this comes up in front of you, and this comes in front of you, and this comes in front of you. One of the first things was Doreen Virtue for me back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
it was so interesting because suddenly it was hands-on healing that turned into, all of a sudden, the angel's a part of my life. And I started to experience all of this newness. When I would give myself Reiki treatments, I started to see and sense beings and colors, and it was a light show behind my eyelids,
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what was happening. And so the way that I was kind of nudged in that bookstore to the shelf where Doreen Virtue was right in front of me, it was my opening to angels, guides, mediumship, and I wanted to ask you, within your journey, I know that it started early on for you, but did you ever consciously work with angels, guides? Do you have people that say, who are my guides? What are their names?
Yeah.
What?
All the time. Yeah. Everybody wants. I was conscious about my guides, but I didn't have words for that, right? I didn't know they were my guides. I just knew they were present and helping me. The one thing I do want to bring in here is I knew Jesus before I knew Jesus, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I literally, that was one where I had a name. So when I heard Jesus out here in this world, I'm like, I already know him, but because I already knew him. But what they were saying of him was a little different than what I knew of him. And so that was always a little confusing for me, but
Interesting.
So yeah, so that was one guide that I knew I had a name for. The others, light beings, different, I would see, they were like people to me. They look like people to me. I didn't have names or anything, but I knew that they were helping me.
Mm-hmm.
And all in my mind's eye. Yeah. Again, the physical manifestations stopped early on, probably when I was like 5 or 6 years old, because of being scared so many times.
Mm-hmm.
It's startling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? And just because of, I lived in an outer world of terror, to have that happening, I feel like now I understand it. It was like they kind of stopped that from happening. So I wouldn't be terror all the time. I wouldn't have made it very right.
No kidding.
But
So what was challenging for you as you recognized that this was your calling? When spirit, when we hear that calling, we feel that calling, and there might be resistance. I know I experienced resistance, and then the calling becomes a little louder and a little louder, and then it's like it's no longer a calling, it's more of a yelling.
Right.
When spirit comes to your front door and you don't answer, they'll go to your back door, they'll go to your sliding glass door, they'll go to your side window. If you're hiding behind the couch, shh, we're not home. They'll keep knocking. So when you recognize that's where you needed to go, where you needed to be, that healing and working with people and helping people, lifting people, inspiring people. After you recognize that, what challenged you?
Well, I always found an avenue to do something, some kind of helping, some kind of helping. My thing was always helping others find the diamond within themselves, that they could also have this experience with their spirit team, and
Totally.
they're connected, and my challenge was the world and how they perceived what I was doing and perceived me, and how they would continually try to put me in boxes. And when I say they, it was whatever, if with the Christian group, it was like, oh, do you think you're a prophet? You're just a woman, you're nothing, whatever, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was constantly trying to push it down. And I was just constantly trying to fly and trying to help people see that they could fly as well. And so that was the challenge, basically, to answer your question, was other people and how they view what I was doing. And then overcoming the idea that I had to play by the rules.
Yes.
And I don't have to play by the rules.
It's so true. And that is, well, I was going to say can be. No, that is a difficult piece in it. It takes some real work on your insides to get to the place where you don't care what anybody thinks anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are
YouTube
some
will
of
help
us.
you.
Oh, that's true.
Being on
That's so
YouTube will help
you. That is so true. Yeah, I mean, but it does take some work. That was one of my fears too. Just the cynics, the haters.
haters that always wanting to put you in a box for whatever reason, that they see the world, they view the world through their own lens. And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And they want you to view the world through their lens as well. That's their big fight. And if you don't, then something's wrong. And that's the challenge of being a human and trying to figure that all out. And I understand that, but I had to understand it for myself as well. What were the boxes I was putting myself in?
Yeah.
Why was I succumbing to other people's belief systems that they would put on me to make them feel comfortable?
Right.
So I had to really do a lot of inner work and surrender to step out and go, I'm doing it my way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like yours. It doesn't look like yours. It doesn't look like anybody's. It's mine. And that's perfect, because that's what we're supposed to all be doing.
Yes.
And so even in our group of psychic mediums, there's certain expectation and certain roles. And again, I refuse to be a part of that. I'm not going to be a part of any roles. I will be always guided by my spirit team in whatever it is. And if I find myself trying, going underneath a rule or a box of some sort of anybody's belief system, it's just offering me another opportunity to step more into my soul self.
Yes.
And it's for you too, and for those watching and listening.
Yes.
It's just opportunities to become more you. Because if you're recognizing it, then you're recognizing this is not me. So stepping back towards you, your true north.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that was really beautifully stated. So beautifully that I completely forgot what I was going to ask you next.
I love when that happens. It
Oh
happens to
my
me.
gosh. Yeah, that was awesome. Along your journey, did you ever have any teachers, mentors along the way?
I did. I had friends that that we would nudge each other as we grew, and I have to say, one of my biggest teachers actually is my partner. And she came into my life at a very significant point of breakthrough for me. And because in order to really, really heal others and love, and really step into love and light and that healing, you have to love yourself.
Mm.
And I absolutely did not.
Oh.
100% at all, because of my traumatic childhood, that I literally was born into, you shouldn't be here.
Oh.
So I had to work through that, and I was still, even so, I would have to say, I always call her my guru, because
Oh.
she just she's very enlightened. She's a healer herself, a psychic medium healer person as well, but very enlightened. So was able to break through my 1,000-foot thick wall that I was hiding behind. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Taught me to love myself,
That's
or
hard.
understand how to love myself.
Or even what it means,
Or
you know?
even what it means,
Yeah.
because we laugh about it all the time, because she would say something positive to me and I would get mad. I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? I would literally change, because I was so in defense. I keep seeing the 9 of Wands. I was so in defense of I am not lovable. I am so unlovable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Deep in there, whatever,
Oh
in
yeah.
your unconscious even. So, and I was living it out very strong. She broke through, my guru.
Ooh, that's a challenge.
Mhm. It was.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Completely. I
And we
understand
all
that.
have, yeah, and we continue to learn
Mhm.
that. That's not something that's learned over,
No,
we get beat up and in our childhood, and then the rest of our life is learning to break the narratives that just are not true,
completely.
that we've taken on. Yeah. And so it's a daily thing. Yeah.
How would you advise any of our listeners who might be feeling in that place? That place with their own 1,000-foot walls that are barriers to, to other people, to
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. First of all, it would be recognizing that you are behind a 1,000-foot wall, and that you've created this space of extreme loneliness and isolation within yourself. You could be surrounded by a ton of people, and you're sitting in this room completely isolated and alone. And there could be 100 people there. That's a good sign that you are behind that wall.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how you respond to people sharing love with you, sharing selflessness or anything like that with you. How do you respond? Do you respond like this? Or do you respond like, oh yeah, bring it on in. I love, yeah, let's connect. Those are some things to look for. And
You mentioned that you had a psychology background.
mm-hmm.
So this response that we're talking about that people might have, is that considered a trauma response? Like
It
like
is.
a response of protection, safety,
Mm-hmm.
security, esteem,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of trauma.
100%. And you don't have to look back at your life and you're like, well, I had a great life. Like my parents were great. Trauma can come at any level, at levels that you wouldn't recognize as trauma. It could have been an experience on the playground, where something happened and it got in there, and all of a sudden that all, so it doesn't have to be the big traumas that people talk about.
Right.
It could have been a small thing. It could have been a loss of a pet that you loved dearly, and it was so hurtful that you put that wall up.
Yes.
And that it could be simple words that were used that you thought were no big deal, but they were a big deal. And you learned to protect yourself from them, that you weren't worthy. It could have just been actions in the house that showed you that you weren't worthy, and we don't want to listen to you. You don't have a voice. These types of things. So it doesn't have to be big trauma for this for you to still need to be working through some of these narratives and stuff that we've placed on ourselves.
I think since we're talking about this and traumas and everything, I think traumas can also set in As adults, yes.
No,
I mean,
yes.
like a horrendous divorce or
Yes.
a tragic loss,
Yes.
unexpected. Yeah,
They also, as an adult, they they throw you into an opportunity to also look at past stuff and then the present as well. But
sure.
yes, there are opportunities.
So we would tell people to recognize how they are responding to the people in their life, to situations in their life. Are
Yeah,
they,
look at the patterns. It's important to really tap in here on, because emotions, your emotion level, or, some people will say, well, I don't cry, I'm strong. Okay, that's how you're defining strength, is because you don't have an emotion about something that is emotional.
Mhm,
You should be crying,
mhm.
right? It's okay. But see, they've been told, oh, look how strong you are. You're not even
Oh,
crying, right? So that's a narrative. That's a piece. So even down to that is showing you
yeah.
that there's some issues.
They've been told that crying is weak.
Right. And so look how strong I am. I'm not crying. So then where does all that go? Because it is emotional. We're here to experience emotions. We're here to cry, to laugh,
Yeah.
to get mad, to feel things, to have joy. So where does that go? Because not only you're not crying, you're not laughing either. And if you are laughing, it's not that laughing. It's just, a response. So yeah, the muted emotions is a good sign that there needs to be some work done. You want to live, right? You want to
We
live out
do.
loud.
We do want to live out loud and in our truth,
And in your truth.
authentically.
Mm-hmm.
That's self love.
That is self-love. And I want to revisit just what you just said about living in your truth and authentically. Guess what the world has tried to take away from you your whole life? Your truth, and you living in authentically. 100%. You just turn on the TV and it's trying to do that.
Oh,
Everything around you is trying to take that away from you.
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So I like that point.
The cultural spells are out there
Yeah,
and they run deep.
they run deep. Yeah. So just being aware of it is a first of that's a huge part of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. that was good. That again, I was just, all in the thick of feeling all of this and yeah, just kind of lost my way for a minute.
As we all, that's what it's like to be on the in between and trying to come back and forth.
Yeah.
So you come in here, you're channeling, but then you have to come is back and forth, back and forth. So it makes sense to the pauses and the reflection and where am I? Where am I?
Yes.
What are we doing?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, you know what? One of the questions that I get often being a medium and all the experiences that we have as mediums as we are talking to the people in spirit and for our sitters in front of us. With your experience, a lifelong experience, what do you think happens after we die?
I think we reemerge to our 100% spirit self. And so I would almost take away the die word
Mm-hmm.
and just call it a reemerging. Some people say they're transitioning,
Yep.
I call it a reemerging to our spirit self. And if you've ever watched any NDE tell their story,
Oh,
and them re-emerging into their spirit self and how easy that was, you know what was hard for them? Popping back in.
yes.
That's where it was painful, and coming back in. So I like to call it re-emerging into your spirit self, because literally you are you, but then your spirit, and you're like, oh, and then you're looking down at your body, you're like, oh, who was that? Oh, that was Debbie. Oh, I did Debbie. I was Debbie this time around. Okay. So I don't, I'm pulling you, Jeffrey, because I don't remember what the question was, but
It's okay.
I call it re-emerging.
I love that. I love that. I've had people ask me that many times, and it's my feeling when these eyes close, our spiritual eyes open right up. Like it's like
Yeah,
there's not even it's not scary, it's not difficult, it's just like, I think I heard somebody say the other day, it's like walking into another room. It's like,
exactly. Yeah. Oh, okay. I remember your question.
yeah. Oh yeah, what happens? Yeah, when we cross, pass, die,
Yeah, and
transition.
literally, so it's just a re-emerging, and it's just so free from the burdens, and it's just it's coming back. That's the hard part. It's
Yeah.
being in this body that's hard, and so we automatically put this scary thing on death, or the re-emerging of spirit self,
Yeah.
and it's that's reality. Yeah.
Why do you think we're here?
I think we're here to experience love. And I know that when you reemerge and you're on the other side, that's that's love. That's pure, the pureness of what love is. You are love. I am love. We are love. We are made out of love. Our cells are love. But here we're to experience things at a different level than on a more physical level. This question is so big, and I'm trying to use English words for what I'm shown here with this experience here. But literally, it is purpose to bring us. We do grow. We do reemerge, expanded, and with a deeper understanding of love. If you were in the midst of love, that realm of a bubble of love, and never experienced different emotions, different anger or hurt or any of those emotions,
The duality.
love is just love, right? You don't know any different. And until you experience something, and then you're like, whoa, yes, I understand now. I want to be in this. I want to be in this love, because I understand the opposite of it, or I understand what it's like to be separate from it. Yeah.
The illusion of being separate.
Yeah.
That's a doozy.
Yeah. I was trying to think of anything else that I've experienced with this and heard. Why are we here? And it's just really love. I mean,
I was just
period.
going to point to your hat too.
Period.
Yes.
And
Period.
I always say that. So these are hats that I have. That this is Freebird Spirit. These are hats that I designed, but because we're always asked, why am I here? Well, love, to love. And so that's it in a nutshell. But there's so much more to it. Please seek, everyone. Keep seeking that. Keep asking that question. Keep looking. Yeah.
It's true. And it's so easy to get thrown off and immersed in this life where it's confusing and upsetting and scary.
Yes.
And people are mean and scary. It's very, very easy to forget that and to love in the face of that opposition, to remember to love in the face of those challenges.
Yes.
The challenging people who might have abused us or abandoned us, betrayed us, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep seeking.
Yeah, because even we have the word love, that's our language for it, but it's really a vibration. So it's really stepping into the vibration of this word is what we're really hoping for you all. And for me, I'm hoping for myself, that we learn how to step into the vibration of this word, because it's bigger than this word. This is what we have to wrap our mind around, right?
It's true.
We have this word. It's a vibration, and stepping into that vibration. So when you're offered an opportunity and you're in the room of someone, someone that may have hurt you, to step into the vibration of love, it wouldn't look like you're going up to them and giving them a hug. You're just literally vibrating this. And in that, you're healing and changing their vibration as well, and bringing healing and enlightenment to them as well, just by being in this frequency. You don't have to say or do anything. It's literally just standing in the vibration. But yes, I went off on a tangent.
No, that's okay. These tangents are great.
Okay.
And how does that look? How does that look? If somebody, you're driving down the freeway, somebody very rudely, very aggressively cuts you off in traffic. How does love look in that moment? You take a deep breath. You think about where that person must be on their insides in this moment.
Yeah.
Probably pretty upset, probably pretty stressed, probably pretty scared.
Mm-hmm.
And it's accessing the compassion inside.
Yeah.
It's not reacting with the same level of aggression, fear. It's consciously responding from that place of love.
Yeah. And so that's part of it, is learning the more you don't react to life and the more you respond to life, that's going to be helpful to you.
Very.
Now, it's okay, give yourself a break,
Yes.
WTF, I just got cut off. What the, but then,
yes,
because you are human and that's okay. But then grasping onto that and then go, okay, I'm going to choose to respond from this space and connect in and understand, okay, oh, I see. Oh, and then you have an idea of the morning that person had, because spirit told you, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I send love and light to them as they move forward and keep others safe from this person.
Yep. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great possibility that they just did not even notice that they had done that to you,
didn't even
however many other people along the way,
all the time. They're in their own little world and they don't even know. Send them off with prayer. Yeah.
That's accessing a little bit of unconditional love right there.
That's right. And I feel like, we're here to experience things, and we are going to be provided opportunities every day to step into the energy of love. Yeah.
The cynics we were talking about earlier, the cynics, the haters, the people that just, their way or the highway, and that this isn't real, or it's not, it's all hocus pocus or woo woo or whatever. The truth of the matter is they have literally just completely forgotten who they are.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And disconnected.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They've just completely forgotten who they are.
And so, yeah, let's remember everyone who we are. And sometimes it's a daily, remember who you are. Oh yeah.
Oh It's the truth. It can be many times a day.
Many times a day. Many times a day. And
oh
I
my
also,
gosh, it's so true.
I feel like I'm supposed to speak to, there's a few people watching or listening that need this, that are feeling disconnected from spirit right now. And I just want you to know that spirit has not left you. You're still connected into the collective here. And this is just an opportunity to really kind of step into these energy centers and ask for your spirit team to start maneuvering, spinning them in the right direction for you and bring that healing. But that's a lonely place to be when you feel disconnected. And we don't want you to feel, there's times I feel disconnected, and it is, I hate that space. And I don't like to be there very long. And I will. Yeah.
You know, I know that I there are times in this work where I feel completely disconnected. And in my heart and consciously, I know that we're never disconnected. I know that all my team, my gang, my entourage, my loved ones, I know we are never, ever, ever alone. But there are times where we just feel alone.
Yeah.
And I find for myself, my first acknowledgement in coming out of that starts with gratitude.
Yes.
And it's just gratitude of maybe just gratitude of recognizing that. Let's just start there. I'm so thankful I remembered that, you know.
It could be the smallest thing. Start there. Start there. And just continue every day just to be grateful for that one little thing, whatever it is, and then the next thing, and then build on that and build on that. And slowly but surely you are crawling out of whatever that was that, you know, I should say slowly I crawl out of whatever I fell into. I will crawl out. It's one little grateful moment at a time to the next, for sure.
And we are here for you.
Yes.
Debbie is here for you. I am here for you. Kevin is here for you. So many of us are here doing this work to remind you that we are all in this together. And love is where it's at.
That's it.
Period. Debbie, that's a beautiful place to end. So why don't you tell people where they can find you, if you have any events coming up, or remind us of your shows when they are.
Oh gosh, I have to get the list out. So you can find me on Freebird Spirit. So on the World Wide Web, freebirdspirit.com. And that is my website, and it has calendar, and where you can, if you would like to have a private reading with me or healing session or mentor, I do mentor life coaching mentorship as well. So those opportunities are there for you to schedule at your own convenience. And as well as I do have a little merch shop, because I also love creating, and I have an artistic side to myself. So I have a little merch shop too. So you can check that out at your convenience if you want. And my shows, I have many. So I'm always on YouTube, and my YouTube is Freebird Spirit YouTube. And so there's many different things that I offer. I am a social justice activist, so you will see me doing a lot of more political current events is what I call it, current topics.
Awesome.
In fact, I did one today. But so and Monday nights we do empowered women empower women, and it's a mediumship night, and we generally we bring in women from history and talk to them on the other side and bring messages in for us for today, and kind of they bring clarity of when they were here. And so that's a fun night, and it's for everyone. And last Monday, just for an example, we did the divine feminine energy, and that was really interesting.
Oh, beautiful.
And so we do that, and then I do News Flash Friday, and that's a current event one. And then Sundays we do on the couch, and that varies from week to week, from personal to dreams to then current events again. I also do on Mondays. How can I forget? Fur Day Monday. So we do animal readings. I collab with Mark Atha, Spirit Whisper, and we do animal readings on Monday.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then every other week we do a healing night, and that's with Kevin and the gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So as you can see, there's so many, and I really didn't see anybody taking notes, so that's okay. Just go to my channel, click that bell, and you'll be alerted to when any of these things go on.
Fantastic.
Woo! Yeah.
Free bird spirit.
Yeah. Free bird spirit.
Debbie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. What an honor to hang out with you and your spirit team. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here with us again this week, and we'll be back again next week with another exciting guest.
Yay.
Thank you again for listening to the Something Super Spiritual podcast. If you know someone who would enjoy this episode, please do share it with a friend. For show notes, links, and to purchase a mediumship reading, my website is somethingsuperspiritual.com. You can also easily subscribe and follow the show on your favorite app, sign up for my newsletter for bonus content, and to keep the conversation going, you can easily join the Facebook community. It's all right there at the website, somethingsuperspiritual.com. Signing off for now, namaste.